In this video, I will also help you to add titles, music and the Grandma Story logo to finish your video and bring it to life. I will also show you how to render your film so it can be published to the Grandma Story website and shared with our online community. We will provide the ident for you to use in your finished film. So let's import that now. If I double click here in the media window, I can locate it on my desktop and open it. Now I've actually left myself a little space at the beginning of my film to add this in. So I can click on it and drag it over. If I put it here in this video track at the top, so the video tracks are at the top here and the audio at the bottom, then if you need to move your clips along so that the ident fits into this space, then you can zoom right out, click and drag to select all of your clips and then move them along. So that's the benefit of putting it in a separate track at the top, so that when you've made your space the right size, you can then just click and drag it down to the beginning. Move my playhead back now. I should have the ident at the beginning of my film. Now we know that Jean is going to start talking in a moment, but we don't know who she is. So on screen we can see this person, but we don't know their name and we don't know their story. So we're going to add in some titles. And in this case, I'm going to say, from Lincoln to Coventry, Jean's story. Everything that we've done so far has been in the editor. But what we're going to do now is click on New and go for a composite shot. And this is what you use when you want to actually make titles. So if you want to put some text into your film, you would use this. It's going to automatically choose the same settings as your film. So click OK. And then you'll notice now I've got the editor here and I've got my composite shot 1 here. So it's giving it a title. If you want to rename it, you can just click on there and I'm going to put Jean's title. It's something that makes sense to you instead of composite shot 1. So now, as I said, here you've got other menus that you need to access. So we're going to make some text. So if I click on text, you'll see something that's fairly familiar to you. Here are all our settings. So here's our font setting and all our sizes here. So to start typing, I need to type in here in the viewer, and I click on the A like in a lot of programs. I click on the A, which is my text tool, and then click on screen. It's going to ask you what size. Don't worry about that now, just click OK, and it will make you a box that you can type into. Keep on the A tool, the text tool. You see in the corner there, you can click and drag the size. Now I want Jean's story to be larger and I'll keep that quite small. So I need to go back down here. So we're working from this area to this area here, the character panel. And I want to make it a little bit bigger, so I can just click and drag to the right to make it bigger and to the left to make it smaller. Now, you can obviously place this on your screen somewhere where obviously the interviewee isn't going to appear. So you don't want your titles to be over the top of somebody's face. And I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller as well. It can be quite tricky to catch that tiny little square on the bottom there. But that's what you actually need. When it's white, that means it's highlighted. That means you can click and drag it like that to make it smaller. Now, if I put this here, there would be a concern that this would get cut off in some players. So I'm going to use what's called Title Safe. That will give me a grid that will help me to place my text so that it doesn't get cut off the screen. So if you click into Effects here and start typing title. Now I'm going to use this 1080p one at the top, which I would also suggest that you use. So if I click and drag that onto my title there, you'll see that I get some grid lines. I want my title to be within those grid lines. So anything that's within green is safe. So I'm going to put it just there. Maybe get away with putting it down there a little bit. I just got to watch the Y on the end, that doesn't go over the line. And now I know that that's not going to be cut off. It'd be nice if these titles faded in and faded out. So I'm going to use some of the tools on here. You can look for a fade effect in the effects panel, but actually it would be better to animate using this transform tool here. So everything that has a circle can be animated, so you can change the size over a time period, or you can change the transparency over a time period. So with any form of animation it tends to work backwards. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit first of all so I can get better timings here. So here I've got 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So for 1 second, after 1 second I want this to be on screen. So I want it to not be transparent. So I'm going to click on opacity there. And now it's at 100% so I can see it. And I'll drag my slider back and then just take this down to 0. Now if I press my space bar, it comes onto the screen. I'd suggest that you have these titles on for a few seconds so that people can read them, but obviously that depends on what you've written. So I think that they'll be able to read From Lincoln to Coventry, Jean's story within a few seconds. So at about 5 seconds, I'm going to put another keyframe in. Now the easiest way to do this is to just nudge that and nudge it back to 100, and then you'll get a keyframe there. And then go down to 6 seconds. And again, I'm going to turn this right down to 0. And then press Ctrl and S to save, because we've done a little bit of work and we don't want to lose what we've done. So now if I go back to my editor and click on my media panel, I've got Jean's title there, and I'm going to put it on this video track at the top here. So the logo fades out. I don't want that to appear until Jean appears, so I'm going to just move that along the timeline a little bit. Okay, so now we've got a title on there, and you can do that for any titles that you need. Now what I would suggest is if you've got several interviews in one, so you might have different people that appear, so we might have Jean, then we might have Anna. Rather than going through that whole process again, what I would do is right click on Jean's title and go to duplicate, right click again and go to rename and call it Anna's title. And now if I double click this, and there's Anna's title, you can see it there. And then when it comes to the text, I need to be able to see it, so just move your playhead to a part of the timeline where you can actually see the typing. Click on the A again and just change it to Anna's. And then I might need to change these from Devon to Coventry. So now I've got two titles that are exactly the same, and all I've had to do is just retype the names. And that's the quickest way of generating several titles that fade onto the screen in the same way without having to do the work each time. You're just changing the text. Now we also need to add some credits to our film. At the end we might want to say who funded it, who the producer was, who the cameraman was, and it's an important part for any young people that have been involved in producing this film for them to see their names on screen, online. It's something that they'll be able to put on their CV, so it's a major part of the project. So what we need to do is make ourselves a new composite shot and call it End Credits. Click OK. And then we need to make ourselves some new text. So again, click on the A. I'm going to make this a bit smaller. Now, as you can see, I can't see what I'm typing now, so I'm just going to drag that corner. And what's going to happen with this is it'll scroll up onto the screen once we've typed it. So we're going to add some animation to make that happen. I'll just put some dummy text in for now. Okay. So this is just an example. And what we need to do is animate this so it slowly scrolls up onto the screen. So I'm going to look at the properties of this by clicking on that little triangle there. And this time we're going to be altering the position. We're not going to change the scale, we're not going to change the size of it. We're purely going to be changing the position. So I suggest that you type up everything that you need on screen first. And then I'm going to go to 15 seconds here. And I'm going to say by that stage this text will have scrolled up onto the screen. And I'm going to work back from that. So I'm now going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard to move that down off the screen. And now when I press the space bar, it's slowly going to appear on screen. And if I want to alter the timing of that, if I want to make it faster, I just bring this keyframe in by clicking and dragging it. And then again, just testing it out and seeing what speed you think is about right, so that people can read it, but at the same time it's not remaining on screen for too long. Now I would have a lot longer list than this, so I've just given you this as an example. It might take up to sort of 30 seconds really for everything to appear on screen. Now what I actually want is once it's appeared on screen, it's going to disappear off the top of the screen. So now I've worked out that timing. I'm actually going to say, well, in 15 seconds, I want it to actually have disappeared off the top of the screen. So I'm going to now do that. And you can see that there's a kind of line here that shows you the movement of this piece of information across the screen. So if I now press the space bar, it's going to appear on screen and then disappear off the top. So now that we've made this, we still need to add it, remember, to our film. So if I click on the editor and I click on my media folder here, I can see end credits there. I need to put them on the end there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm happy with that.